Welcome back to the Workbench. So the Sony is done and boxed up. It's going to be in the mail soon. And it gives me a little time to work on this Intellivision. Of all things... Oh, the hard part is figuring out exactly where I'm going to put the AV outboard. I did get in my caps somewhere. I had them a minute ago. There's one. There's a big replacement cap right there. Oh, that's in the way. Hold on. I don't like that. Okay. I'm hooked. Anyway. Technical difficulties. So I'm trying to figure out where the heck to put the actual board. The problem is the way the Intellivision is, I gotta clean this thing, is there isn't a whole heck of a lot of clearance between, let's see how much clearance is there. There's enough. Yeah. Oh, my main camera just died. Hold on a second. Oh. Why do you keep doing this? There it is. Okay, so this is the... There's not a huge amount of clearance. Let's see, how tall does it need to be? So this gets locked down. How far do I have? I guess there's some room. Okay, so this plane, alright, I'm talking to myself here. This plane here is what I have to keep under, so I'll probably end up putting the, I'm just going to end up hand wiring one. I'm probably going to end up about here. That way I can have some really short cable lengths, and I'll put the, probably put the AV out over here. Yeah, I'll do that. I think I have some spare coax somewhere. I prefer to use coax more than, shielded coax more than just regular old twisted pair. But first, maybe we'll start with a little cap replacement. Turn my heat down a little bit. It's an older board. If you haven't working older boards, turn your heat down. Always, 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 always get yourself a adjustable temperature soldering iron. You do not want to run just hot. Because hot generally is about 800 degrees, and you do not want to melt these old traces. And I can go in the box here. Alright. Is there one more? Is it just, oh, it's just friction. There's just a pin headers. Just pull straight up. Oh, there's a little cap hiding down there. Okay. That is, must be for a video because it is bipolar. Alright, so there's your board. Just moving everyone closer so I can see. You can see what I'm doing here. Alright, so this is the main filter cap. I think I've explained how filter caps work. Hold on a second. For everyone's education today, So coming in, you have an AC signal. Looks like this. This case, I think it's got like a 15 volts AC coming in. I'll call it 18. So this is 0 volts plus 15 minus 15 volts AC, which gives you an RMS of 0.707 of that, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so how a power supply works, in case you're ever wondering how one works. That's the glare from my overhead light, which is a little annoying. Let's use my head. All right, so that's better. It's nice and spooky in here. All right, so you have your AC coming in. So how you do is you put your, you have a what's known as a rectifier bridge. I think it goes this way, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And how it works is you have, I hope I'm drawing this right. It's been a while since I've drawn a rectifier. Alright, so you put your line here, your neutral there, and what comes out here is, looks like this. And this is the peak voltage minus 0.7 for a silicon diode. Most are silicon. See, when the diode operates, it loses 0.7 volts in operation, so you'll end up with 14.3 volts peak here, like that. But you notice this, if you that's what these little gaps here because of the 0.7. You notice this is not DC. See how it's just little humps? It's actually closer to this. But anyway, how you do is you take this output here and you put it across a capacitor. In this case, an electrolytic capacitor. Wrong symbol, Dave. Electrolytic capacitor. Actually, it's curved. Electrolytic capacitor. Put across electrolytic converter, capacitor, and instead of this, you end up with that. This is 0, and there's your about 14-ish volts. It's a little bit less than that, actually. It's about 13.6 or so volts there. So what happens is, the bigger the capacitor is, the flatter this will be. Like, if it was really good new, you'd barely see it. But as the capacitors age, you get what's known as ripple current. So they'll charge up and start doing this. And you actually see this on the oscilloscope. They call that, that's called ripple current. And the ripple, well, ripples through like a wave through the circuit. So yeah, that's how they work. Get your wall plug, you get your rectifier. I can't remember if I drew this correctly or not. I think I did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is how. You know, I gotta look up a rectifier. I have them. My electronic skills are getting old. This is a full wave rectifier. Did I draw it right? Yes, I did. Yay! Okay. So I did draw it right. Let's see, most of them draw it this way. Doesn't really matter. Yep. So I did draw it right. In this case, we have a 3300 microfarad cap. There you go. That's how you make a power supply. DC power supply. Not a transformer, that's a power supply. Transformer. Well, true circuit looks like this. Pardon me, because I'm an American, this is how I draw my circuits. I know some other Europeans draw theirs differently. So my apologies if this looks a little different than what you're used to. So, get your 120 coming in. Say this is a 10-to-1. So you have 10 times as many coils as on this side. So this is coils, this is magnetic plates, and there's coils on the other one. So you have 10 times as many one side as the other. You have 10-to-1, you end up with 12 volts here. You rectify it, you're gonna lose. You're gonna get about 10.6-ish volts DC. So inside you got 120 coming in, and you got your 12, then you got your rectified, and then you have your smoothed. And this is about your 10.6 volts. That's how you get power. Old boogie board, that's handy. Alright, so anyway, let's get back to where we were. Alright, so back to business. This is our never ever hook up an electrolytic capacitor backwards. Why? Because they explode. Hydrogen gas will form and eventually it will pop into a very, very unhappy party favor. And if you go to an engineering school and you are in a lab and you cause a capacitor to pop on purpose, you will be expelled. I think I told the story before, but I had an instructor who lost vision in one of his eyes because a student had wired up a capacitor backwards and caused it to explode, losing the vision in one of his eyes. So do not hook up electrolytics backwards. Ever. There's one other part of the circuit I didn't show, and that's this thing. This is the voltage regulator, and they have some additional magnetic chokes in here, so they have different voltages. That's the grossly simplified version there. Okay, solder sucker. Let's see, is this one working? Yes, it is. This is this one. There's a diode there. You actually see, well, it's hard to see. There is the rectifier is here. Yeah. Diode. Sorry, diode. Those are for diodes in your rectifier. Keeping my heat a little low. I need a little more heat than that. This is leaded solder. It needs a little more heat. Add a little bit to get the flow. If this doesn't work, I'll throw a bigger tip on there. The problem you always will run into is on trying to desolder. You see all this? This is all copper here. Makes it kind of hard to get the flow. Oh, where's my Hills Brothers? I don't like Hills Brothers coffee. I just like their cans. Once every few years I buy a can of Hills Brothers because they still use metal cans. You can smell the old rosin. Tree sap. That's what it is. Get you a little closer to the action there. heat on here. Most of it out. Let me see. Probably there's a diode is its little neighbor. You can actually see the electrolytic capacitor starting to leak a little bit right there. Okay. What did they do here? They put in a wire and a lead. Sucker doesn't want to. It's going to take some heat. Ugh, I hate the smell of old solder. Okay. It's a really, like a musty smell. It's hard to describe. Little surgery here. Clip these leads. Guess this thing is hot glued down. Even back in 1982, hot glue. Yeah, that's hot glue right there, or RTV, one or the other. Probably hot glue. Still got some strength left in it too. What should I use? I don't want to overstress this board too much. All right. Hot glue. Okay, so grab this. This is not the best technique, but it does occasionally work. I'm just going to do a little gentle force on the far side. Oops. I'm not pulling on it much, very gently actually. Almost through. Ironically, you need a little more solder. Oh, that was weird. There's like a lead poking through there. Very strange. Oh well. Okay, that's out. There's one. And then I'll get the other side and I'll clear the hole. That's this guy here. Being very careful not to hit the other components. He must have one of these days. It's a tool I don't have down here. Let's push it through. Gently push it through. It's a weird smell. It's almost through. Haven't burnt anything yet. should rename this channel Old Ass Electronics with Dave. Oh, I do have more than old stuff on here. I have weirdos too. Dave's Gallery of Freaks. Come on, you smarmy little booger. Get out of there. Bad solder technique with Dave. There you go. There's a good name for the channel. Don't ever do this at home. Oh, come on. Alright, where's my helping hands? How did I lose my helping hands? Well, they're not around, you need them. I'll grab my overkill station here. This goofy ass thing. I never use it much because it's so goofy. You can't see a darn thing, can you? Anyway, it's over here somewhere. Ooh, you can see magnified. Yay. I can't see magnified. I need this going the other way. Let's clip the board. I need this guy. Turn you around. Well, as small as this channel is, I seem to pick up a subscriber or two every month, which is nice. I think you have to have at least 1,000 to be monetized. I don't really care about being monetized though. Gosh darn it, I work for a living. I don't really need to worry about making money on this. Which means I get to do it for the fun. Oh no, there's quite a few. There's one of the reasons I stopped doing all the like boring ass capacitor repairs and repairs on my website is there's other people who actually do this this for a living and require it for their livelihoods, and I do not want to take money from people who actually need this to live, because I do not. I'm not independently wealthy, but I do work. I've been an engineer for almost 25 years. One thing that's always kind of irritated me about getting kids into STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, is, I put my mark there, the real draw for STEM fields is the money. You are a relatively well-paid person, and you don't need to be an entrepreneur. You can work for somebody else, like I do. End of the day, it's great. I mean, it's really interesting work. I've enjoyed it, but I also have a 6-figure income. So, not high 6 figures, but 6 figures nonetheless. I get 3 weeks of vacation. I have medical, dental, all that stuff. And that's really, you can't, I hate when they don't emphasize like, oh, it's interesting and you'll always have a job, which you do, but it pays. My wife doesn't have to work. I have a nice house. And it's all because I have a degree. And there's the wife calling. Speak the devil's name and she shall appear. Though I love my wife. It's going to be 20 years. December 26th, Boxing Day, is our anniversary. 20 years. Got married downtown Chicago. The parking cost more than my wedding did. Alright, I shall finish soldering this. And then I shall see what my wife needs. Alright. With that, everyone have a great night. And there is a capacitor with the proper polarity. And I'll probably go through later and place a few more of these caps. But for now, everyone have a great night.